Welcome, everybody. We're just going to give people a minute to get logged in and we'll get started here shortly. Hi, Amy. Good to see you again. Awesome. Welcome, everybody. We're just going to get started in a minute here. Just want to give everybody a second to get logged in, get connected to audio, all that good stuff. If you want to say hello in the chat, let us know where you're tuning in from. That's always great to see. Definitely see some familiar names. Good to see you, Roger. I don't know if you can hear me yet, but great to have you on here. Sam, good to see you. All right, we're gonna get going in just a second here. I'm just gonna make sure everybody is in here okay, and we'll get going because there is a lot to cover here today. And we've got Magdalena here as well. Thanks, Magdalena. Magdalena's busy behind the scenes doing all the things to make sure that all of this goes off flawlessly. So thank you.
You're welcome. Very happy to be here.
All right, so looks like we've got everybody going. I know we're right at the top of the hour here, so off we go. Today we are covering win the busy season. Today's masterclass is really focused on getting you ready for the season ahead. So I definitely want to hear from you guys. I know some of you have been on our trainings before, so you're used to the vibe here. I definitely encourage any questions as we go. If you have any of your own experience, we love to hear that as well. Okay, perfect. All right, so today we are talking about win the busy season. So I want to arm you with some of the tools that you can use to make sure that not only are you set up for an amazing summer ahead, but you're also starting to get some leads and activities coming in here now. So, of course, this time of year, we're seeing temperatures start to rise. Thank God. It's been a long time coming in certain parts of the world here in Newfoundland where it's too cold. But I'm sure for many of you, even with temperatures rising, there can be a little bit of a lull this time of year. It's not so hot that people's air conditioners are breaking down and they're, ready to get something done right now. So if you're in that boat, you are finding that business is a little bit slower than it should be. I'm optimistic that what we cover here today is really going to help you succeed. So, when we're in that state, of course, you can wait it out. And many of your competitors probably are waiting it out to see that, okay, it's going to get busier when the temperatures rise. But we also know that summer weather has been more unpredictable these last few years. And you don't want to, if you're a company that wants to grow, obviously you don't want to rely on the forecast to make sure that you're getting enough business coming in to keep your sales team happy, to make sure your technicians have enough work to keep going. So really giving you some of the tools so that you can be proactive, you can be in control of the demand that you're generating, and really set you up for a successful season ahead. So I'd love to hear from you guys here. Looking forward to this summer, what are your goals? Relative to last year, are you at a place where you want to keep things steady? You're just looking to maintain? Do you want to grow? You really want to see this be truly a very busy summer ahead and set yourselves up for the rest of the year? Or are you looking to slow down? Maybe there's been some changes in the business or in the team that, you know, things are at a point that you want to scale back. So just let me know in the chat or feel free to unmute. You want to keep things steady, you want to grow, you want to slow things down. That way I get a good feel for where we're at and what we want to learn here. Okay, awesome. Amy says we'd like to grow. Perfect. Yeah, typos happen. Awesome. Let us know in the chat. And I know, if you're, in all likelihood, if you're coming to a free training session about marketing, it's because you want to grow and you do want to be proactive and plan for the season ahead. So, in a similar note, how is lead flow right now? Are you hot? You got lots coming in the door. You can't keep on top of it. Are you more at a warm level? Busy enough? Could be better. Cool. You're a little bit too chill at the moment. Or is lead flow cold? You're freezing. Yeah, you gotta get warm up here. Okay, Magdalena's telling me she can't see the slides, just my background. Well,
Yeah.
that's no fun.
I
Let
don't know if
me.
it's just me or if everyone else can see the slides, but I just want to make sure.
No, only background for me too.
Okay.
Oh no. Well, thanks for letting me know. I don't know why Zoom is not being my friend today. Let's try this again. Okay, desktop one. Okay, you
Yep.
see the slides now?
Yep.
Yep.
And then if I click slideshow, do you still see it?
Yep, you're
Yep.
good.
I can see the red reflecting on Magdalena's face,
Yeah.
so that's good. Thank you. Okay, good. Yeah, not sure what happened there. Okay, awesome. All right, so let me know. Yeah, what are your goals for the summer? Looking ahead, where do you want to be, and how's lead flow right now? So we get a bit of an idea of where you're at in your business right now. Okay, so Amy says that they're currently restricted in plumbing and need to hire more, and they do need some more lead calls in HVAC. Okay, awesome. All right, well, Amy, you're in the right place. So definitely hope that some of the things we cover here today are going to help you. Okay, so how do we prepare to make sure that we've got lots of business coming in? And even if you are busy, even if things are hectic, you're feeling good that you don't need to stress about having enough work to keep the techs and the sales team busy. You're really set up for a great summer, even if it's busy. And more importantly, that you can extend that into the rest of the season and really have a great after off season as well. Okay, Steven says definitely want more. Awesome. Okay, great. So yeah, that's the goal. So ultimately what we are going to go through today is to set you up with 5 marketing tune-ups that you can do right now that are going to help you not only right now, but really set you up for a great season ahead. So everything's about how can we make sure that you're most likely to show up higher on Google? How can we make sure that you are getting leads and calls coming in from people that are actively searching? We're going to run through how to re-engage past customers and unsold leads. So that is something that I think a lot of companies really neglect. It's just not necessarily something that you think of, but it's super impactful for being able to drive new business from leads and customers that you've already spent the money to acquire. We're also going to talk through preparing your social media content so that you are building trust, you are keeping consistent even when you're busy, and we'll give you some tips to be able to do that even when things are busy. And lastly, how you can leverage Facebook advertising right now to be able to drive installation leads, having more of those opportunities come through, regardless of the forecast or search volumes or any of those things that are totally outside of your control. So give me a little yes or thumbs up in the chat there. Let me know if this sounds good for a game plan for our time here today. And for those of you that don't know us, hi, I'm Crystal Hobbs. I'm the owner of Reflective Marketing. I started this business in 2014, so we're heading into our 11th year, and I'm very blessed to work with the most amazing salt of the earth people, both our wonderful team like Magdalena and Sam, and others that aren't on the call today, and our incredible clients. And truly, nothing makes us happier than to be able to see how our clients are able to grow, how they're able to impact the lives of their employees and the people in their community. So, with everything we run through here today, I really want to be able to make your lives a little bit easier, give you some tools that you can implement right now to make sure that you've got new business coming in. All right, so the first part of this is your Google business profile. Now, for most of us, we're probably very, very familiar with this, but it is something that oftentimes we just set it up and then we totally forget about it. So 88% of consumers who actually do a local search on their smartphone end up visiting or calling that business within a day. So we all know the power of local search in this industry. I don't think this is new, but a lot of this is really about making sure that you have your best chance at showing up when somebody is looking for you. All right, so Google Business Profile, you've seen these before. And just curious if there is anybody who doesn't have a profile set up yet, feel free to let us know in the chat. I know just looking at the names here, I've got a good idea of some of your businesses already. So yeah, if I need to dig a little bit deeper there for anybody who is newer to a Google Business Profile, let me know. But essentially what this does is it enables you to show up higher in search results and really to build trust with that consumer. So homeowners want to see that you've got Google reviews. They want to get a little bit of information about the services that you offer. And you want to make it really easy for them to be able to contact you. So a Google business profile really enables you to do all of those things. So the first thing that we want to keep in mind that, again, a lot of times when you set up your Google business profile, you're not necessarily thinking of some of these things. So this is a good time to do a bit of a checkup. So to make sure that you show up higher in search rankings, one of the things that Google looks at is being able to easily identify that this is the same business. So if they see your name on your Google business profile, on your website, on Yelp, on Facebook, on, the local newspaper, any of that stuff, that everything matches. So you want to make sure that your name is exactly the same on your Google business profile as it is everywhere else online. Similarly, your address and phone. So we'll go through this. But specifically with names, sometimes, especially, years ago, an old SEO strategy was to try to like stuff keywords into the name of your Google business profile. This can really work to your disadvantage. So making sure the business name is as accurate as possible, and again, consistent everywhere across the internet. The second piece, your address. So first of all, you want to make sure that it is a real physical address. If you don't add an actual address to your Google business profile, you will see that dramatically impact your rankings. So Google wants to see a real address. If you're at a stage that you don't serve customers out of a physical storefront, warehouse, office, that sort of thing, there are options to get like a virtual office, sometimes even like a co-working space or that sort of thing. You can use that while you're at that stage of building things up. You can use your home address. I do understand that, in a lot of cases, you may not want to have that public. So a virtual office is another option. The other thing with address is that same thing, you want to keep that consistent across the board, even down to where you put the unit number on your listing. So this was something with a client that we had to update how their address was on their Google business profile because everywhere else they had the unit number within the first line of their street address, but on their business profile they had it in the second. Even those little details can make an impact on signaling to Google that this is the same business across the board. And the last piece that I will mention there in terms of keeping that consistency to help your visibility is that you want to have your actual phone number there. So you can add a tracking number, and that does make sense, but you want to make sure it's an additional number because Google wants to see, again, wants to be able to match that your phone number on your profile is the same on your website, is the same on all these different directories and other sites on the internet. So just make sure that your actual phone number is somewhere on that profile. A second piece that oftentimes we don't see set up on a Google business profile is adding your services as products. So Google has a section there where you can add products. Now you will see to add services, and it's pretty well just adding different keywords in there, but you also want to add your main services as products. Because again, this is a signal to Google. This will help with your visibility on Google and your overall search rankings. Because if I'm looking for duct repair, for example, and you've got that listed as a product, your company is much more likely to show up for those things. Okay, so when you go to your Google business profile, you will see an option to add or edit products right there on your settings. That's where you can do this. Okay, and the third piece is monthly updates. So I think a lot of us don't really think about Google Business as social media per se. But again, these are just signals to Google that you are an active business. And for homeowners that are actually looking for you, they are seeing as well that you've got some updates on there. You're a real business, you're reputable, all that good stuff. Okay, so you don't have to go crazy on there, like posting every day or anything like that, but you want to at least be posting once a month. And you can use a lot of the content that you'd use on your regular social media as well, but you want to think about things that make sense that are more timely or more announcements. So, if you close for Canada Day or July 4th weekend or anything like that, you want to put those things up on your Google business profile. If there's a heat wave and, you want to give people some tips on how to deal with that or how to get service, emergency service, any of those types of things you can post there as well. Okay, and then lastly, asking for reviews. I think we all know, we hear this a lot, how important that is. So there are, of course, multiple ways that you can ask for reviews, but this is probably the single biggest factor besides having a physical address that will increase your visibility on Google. Google is really fueled by those reviews. So make it as easy as possible for you to ask for those reviews. Now, nothing's going to beat asking in person. So when you finish a job, how did you feel that we delivered today? Okay, great. So glad to hear you're happy. It really helps our business if you can go ahead and leave us a review on Google. Here's how you do that. Let me walk you through it. If you can really guide the customer through that process, asking in person, especially if it's a technician that's like, hey, this really impress my boss, we care about these things here. That's something that will really help you to increase those reviews. You can also do leave behind materials. So whether it's a business card or a brochure or anything that has the link or a QR code for them to be able to do that. And then 99% of CRMs do have an automated request that when you complete the job or you send an invoice, that customer will automatically be asked by email or text to review the company. So curious, those of you here live, what are you finding is working for driving reviews? Are you guys asking in person? Do you have some of these leave behind materials? You got that set up in ServiceTitan or House Call Pro? Amy says we ask in person. Brendan as well. Awesome. So yeah, those are just a couple of ways that you can do that. If you are on House Call Pro, then you will see the option that you can send a review request when a job is finished. You can set some different specifications there. ServiceTitan, similarly, you can trigger once a job is complete that they get a text or an email to go get those reviews. Okay, awesome. David says my CRM automates after an invoice is paid. Cool. Steven says House Call Pro. Awesome. Cool. And we have a process as well for our clients that, maybe you're not on a CRM or you're not utilizing that feature. We have that for our clients as well, that when an opportunity is marked as one, we send those review requests as well. So it's pretty standard, but definitely something that's important. Make sure you take a look at those. I had a client yesterday that we were looking at their House Call Pro and realized that they had it set up that if in some cases it was driving reviews to their website, which yes, is nice, but it's not as beneficial as having that on their Google or Facebook. So we were able to set that up differently. So these are some of the things that when things are a little bit quieter and you're preparing for the summer, that you can make sure that you're taking an extra look at these things. My dog is deciding to bark at the mailman, so hopefully that's not too loud in your ears. All right, the second piece is Google local service ads. So just curious again, those of you tuning in, how many of you are using local service ads already? Okay, so of course, Google local service ads, tons of benefits with this feature. Okay, awesome. Amy says they have it. Brenda says not yet, looking into it. Awesome. Gonna give you the crash course here if you are new. And then for those of you that do have it, a couple things that you might want to look at now to get ready. Okay, so local service ads, aka Google guaranteed, really, really cost-effective option. You are only paying for actual leads. So if somebody searches for you and they are outside your service area that you've put up in your Google profile, or they ask for a service that is not listed in your Google local service ad setup, you do not have to pay for those. You can tell Google, hey, couldn't service this lead, and you will get a credit for that. On the consumer side of things, because there's a verification process, because Google is saying, like, yes, this is a great company to hire, there's a lot of trust there for homeowners. So it's really a win-win. So when you set up your local service ads, you can specify what services you offer. So again, if you get somebody that is coming in, I don't know, maybe they want ductwork repaired and you don't do that, then as long as you've got that not shown on your local service ads profile, you will not be charged for those leads. So when leads come in, you get a dashboard. You can see their phone number, location, whether they came in through phone or message. And then each of those leads you can go through and rate. So if they did call, you'll get the call recording there that you can listen back to. And then with messages, you'll see the message correspondence there as well. So a couple things that you should be aware of, whether you're just getting into Google local service ads or you're already using that extensively. One of the major things is that Google really wants to see what the lead quality is that you're getting. This helps Google's algorithm to start to prioritize good leads for you. And it also makes sure that you're only paying for good qualified leads. So when a call comes through, you'll see the option to be able to rate that lead. And then right in that dashboard, you can say whether you're satisfied or not, and then give some extra context. And then if Google comes back with, okay, you said this wasn't a good match, you will see that that is credited on your ad spend. So you really want to make a practice of this, if you've got a CSR team, that at least weekly you're going in there, you're rating the leads, making sure that you're giving that feedback back to Google, and that will help you to keep more leads coming in. Make sure you're only paying for leads that are actually qualified for your business, but also giving Google the signal that, like, hey, this company is on top of it, they're participating. We want to continue to show you higher in those rankings. So curious, for those of you using local service ads, how often are you rating your leads? Is this something that you are up to date on and you guys are doing that consistently, or something that, may slip from time to time, or you didn't realize how important that was as far as Google's algorithm goes? Okay, another part that not a lot of people realize necessarily, but with local service ads specifically, adding fresh photos can help your listing stand out, build credibility, and again, gives Google that signal that your business is active. Okay, Amy says, not sure if the Google Ads person is doing that. So yeah, that's a conversation to have with your ads team. If you are outsourcing your local service ads, just getting clarity on, is that our responsibility internally, or is that something that you guys are doing for us? Okay, so new photos, making sure to add those, and then reviewing your budget. So you may have had your budget set for the off season, for winter, for things when things were slower, but knowing warmer weather is ahead, search volumes will start to rise. You want to check your budget and see if you're spending enough. So when you go into the budget section, Google will give you an estimate of how many leads per week based on your spend. So you can adjust that. You also have the ability to set a max that you want to spend within a month, or even the max that you want to spend for a lead. So if you are having challenges there with getting enough lead flow, those are some of the settings that you want to start to play with as well. Okay, third, and this is probably one of my favorite tune-up tips, and one of those things in our toolbox that we use all the time if a client is finding that things are getting a little slow. So re-engaging past customers and unsold leads. So what we really want to do here, of course, is maximize the sales from old opportunities. Reaching out to your existing database of leads and customers. If somebody's already expressed interest, if somebody has already hired your company, those people are the most likely to work with you again, provided they had a good experience, of course. But I think a lot of the times I hear this from a client all the time that, oh, I don't want to bother people. But it's really where you can drive the most sales. And you can do it in a way that is helping that customer. So let's talk through that a little bit. But, this is a sample of a text with Sam on our team here who's tuning in. And one of our clients that things were a little bit slow for them. So we're like, okay, let's go through the database. Let's make a list. Let's reach out to people that didn't move forward to an appointment, or they did have an appointment and a quote and it didn't go through to a sale. Let's try to re-engage some of these people. And, we got a text pretty soon after, oh, I just got 9 leads in 15 minutes. Like, this is incredible. So again, something that is very, very easy and virtually free for you to do to be able to get more sales. So the first part that you want to do is segment your list by pipeline stage. So what I mean by that is that leads who have, filled out a form maybe on Facebook or came to your website, didn't end up going forward to an appointment. You want to talk to those leads a little bit differently than you would talk to people who had an estimate but didn't end up selling, or to your existing customers. So you want to be able to separate those into 3 different lists. The second part is you want to then tailor your message or your offer to each of those audiences. So we do find if you do have a specific promotion or special offer, that will do much better than if you don't. However, if you're not able to offer something, then even just reaching out, even just having that touch point can really help you again to get back in the door with some of these opportunities. So, for example, if you're reaching out to unsold estimates, you might want to do something even as simple as like, oh, like, hey, we had an appointment. We talked about this. I know we went through some options here. Were you still looking for a new heat pump so that you can save money on your energy bills? That is something that, again, just, inquiring, making sure that that customer is served, that they were able to save money or they were able to fix their AC or whatever it was, whatever challenge it was that they were encountering. They're an existing customer, then it could be a good time that you can even just reach out with some maintenance tips of like, okay, here's how you can make sure your air conditioner or your heat pump is ready for the summer. And again, if you can do some sort of special offer, that is definitely going to help increase your conversion rate there. So consider having some sort of preseason special for service or installs. Again, give people a reason to want to raise their hand again and say, you know what, I will move forward at this time. So again, those of you tuning in, Is this something that you're doing regularly? How often are you reaching out to your existing database of leads and customers? Or do you have a process in place already for unsold estimates, as an example? Okay, awesome. Amy says we do often. We have email, postcards, saturation mail. Amazing. Good. And Amy, is that something, are you guys doing that? Is it automated, that process through your CRM or?
Some of it is, some of it's through Service Titan, Marketing Pro, some of it is through like MailShark, um, where we give them our database and then go from there. And then we do targeted mail also, but not from these previous customers. So we do a lot.
Good. Awesome. Good. That's awesome to hear that you guys are on top of it and already doing that. Okay, cool. And Stephen said this worked great for us on our last group email. And sorry, I keep saying Stephen, but I think it's Sue, isn't it? Hi, Sue. Thank you. There you are. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. All right, awesome. So again, can be a very simple email. If you're using Service Titan Marketing Pro, I'm obsessed with. I think it's so great. So a lot of those templates and stuff will be built in, and you can automate a lot of those things. House Call Pro, a little bit more of a manual effort, though I do think there's a marketing section that they're building some of those things up. So again, you can send simple email. You want to change your message a little bit depending on what stage they were at in the pipeline. The other thing is you want to reach out multiple ways. So especially if you are trying to do like a campaign, so you want to make a concerted effort to drum up new business. Now, you want to reach out to people in multiple ways. So email, text, and then have your CSR team call that same list of leads as well. Like, hey, we just sent you an email a couple hours ago. Just want to make sure you got it. Were you still looking for some help with your heat pump? Are you still looking to take advantage of, this rebate program or the financing that we have? That is really, really powerful. And you can do that so that they get a series of emails and texts over multiple days so that you have the best chance of converting those opportunities. And again, it's all in the approach, right? If you're offering to help people, if you're trying to make their lives easier, then they're not going to be bothered by getting emails, texts, calls. Okay. And I always say you can use your marketing team as a scapegoat if anybody gets upset with you. Be like, that was my marketing team just sending out a campaign. Sorry about that. So that's always an option. Okay. So again, multi-pronged approach. The fourth tune-up tool here in your toolbox is to prepare your social media content. So social media for most of us on the regular posting side of things, organic, oftentimes is really about continuing to build trust, showing that consistency with homeowners. So you don't want to let that slip once you're deep into July and there's heat waves and there's lots going on. So what you can do now, or what your team can do now, if things are a little bit slower, or that, come July, you're not going to be doing fun reels on Instagram. So what you can do now is start to prepare that content. Okay, so really, again, 49% of internet users use Facebook to research and review read reviews about local businesses. So it's about providing that trust, showcasing you're active, you're reputable, there's good people behind the company. That's what you want your social media to accomplish for you. So when somebody hits your page, they see like, okay, like this company is giving me tips and ideas. I see the team, all that good stuff. So, what a lot of people don't realize is you can actually schedule your posts in advance. So, some of the content that you might want to do, of course, highlighting some customer reviews, sharing some maintenance tips, how to deal with a heat wave, what to do now to make sure your AC is ready for the summer, showcasing some of your technicians, office team, anybody who's customer facing, giving a little bit of that culture, all that good stuff. But this is content that you can build out now and schedule so that it is consistently going out over the next few months. So, built right into Facebook and Instagram, if you use Meta Business Suite, Business Profile, they've changed the name a couple times. But right from within that dashboard, if you go to create a post, you will see an option to schedule, and you can schedule things out months and months and months in advance. So if you have somebody on your team that's taking care of your social media for you, or if that's part of your role at the business, then, take a morning, sit down and say, okay, I'm going to schedule out at least, one post a week for those busy months so that at the very least, there's always something going out. If you get to do content in real time and you have those timely updates, holidays, closures, weather specific events, all that stuff that comes up, you can still slot that in, but at least you've got a baseline of content that's going to be going out over the next few months. So if things are too busy that social media just falls on the back burner, that stuff is keeping your foundation alive there. Okay, so some examples. Again, so profiling team members, showcasing reviews, giving tips, all of those things. You can keep that going in advance. It's not something that you need live. Okay, and our final tune-up tool here, the one that I always get most excited about, of course, is Facebook advertising. So on the Google side of things, all of that is great and super impactful. I mean, a lot of companies do really, really well with Google local search ads, service ads, and that is a major driver of their business. The downside of the Google side of things specifically is that it really fluctuates with the season. So if temperatures are milder, people aren't really thinking about their AC, their heating, then you are going to see that demand really drops. With Facebook advertising, it really gives you the opportunity to be proactive and to be able to get out in front of homeowners in your service area, whether they're actively looking or not. So Brendan says, have you seen Facebook advertising do better than LSA? Yes, in some cases. So oftentimes, again, the off season when search volumes just aren't there, then that often makes a big impact. And then the other part of it is that in some markets, I think oftentimes social media is still thought of as where people watch cat videos and chat with their friends and post what they ate for dinner. That's kind of the mentality there. So a lot of your competitors, and especially in competitive markets, they are really, really Google focused and they're not thinking about these other opportunities. So it is an opportunity for you to be able to diversify your lead flow or expand. I would say most of our customers, most of the clients that we work with, they are doing some Google stuff already, and they come to us because they need another channel where they can drive business year round. So I think that's really where Facebook ads fits in the best, is that consistent flow throughout the year, especially when temperatures are milder. So yeah, ultimately it doesn't require hot weather to perform because you're choosing to get in front of those homeowners. So to give you a few examples, so the Chill Brothers is based in Texas. We've been working with them for the last 3 years, and they are super on top of Google, door knocking, doing mail campaigns, a lot of the stuff like Amy shared there. They have a bunch of different marketing that's already working for them to drive leads, but they saw that there was a huge opportunity to be able to scale things with using paid social. So that's where we came in. They were doing some Facebook ads already, but it was really up and down. It was difficult for them to get the consistent lead flow that they needed. So when we started with them, we figured out quickly what worked in their market by going through a testing process. And now, even in the off season, they're spending up to $20,000 a month and getting a really great ROI. And in the last 3 years, they've been able to grow from 1 location to 4. Similarly, on the Canadian side of things, Heat Pump Solutions, when we started working with them in 2019, they were doing a lot of marketing already, especially on the radio side of things, but there were still big fluctuations in terms of lead flow. So Mitch approached us and was looking to double their number of installs. So through our HVAC lead driver system, really figuring out what worked to be able to proactively get in front of homeowners who were looking for a new heat pump, we were able to double their number of installs in 4 months, take them from 150,000 to 300,000 in average monthly revenue way back then. And in the years that we've worked together, they've been able to add a second location, and they've quadrupled their team size in that time. So really to think through the Facebook side of things, when you think about the residential market, at any given time, if somebody's in a situation, heat wave, AC is broken down, where are they going to go if they need services? All those people they're going to turn to Google, of course. So that 3 to 10% of the market that are in that, like, I need to buy now, they are going to go to Google. And that's where having your local service ads, having your business profile is super, super important. But you've got this larger 60% of the market that maybe not thinking about it, or it's this time of year, temperatures are milder, it's just not top of mind. How are you going to make sure that that 60% of the market knows that you exist? So that's really where this comes into play. Now, we've done a lot of training on Facebook ads. If anybody would like to see any of that specifically, feel free to reach out to us. We can send you some of the replays. But just to give you a few highlights of what you want to consider here with Facebook ads is really making sure that you nail these 5 key parts. So the first part is the offer. I will talk through that in a second. Targeting, so making sure you're getting in front of the right people. The creative, we'll talk through that as well. The form, where somebody, what they actually fill out. You want to make sure you don't have too many questions that, whenever you go to a website and there's this giant form, nobody's filling that out. But you also don't want to have too few questions and then you're getting a bunch of leads outside the service area or people that don't really realize what they're filling out. And then, of course, your budget and making sure that that's appropriate for the result that you're looking for. But to talk through some of those things a little bit more specifically, to give you some pointers ahead, and again, we can point you to any of those other free trainings on Facebook ads. Really, with the offer, you want to think about what's going to get your perfect customer to raise their hand and say, yes, I want to learn more. So oftentimes we see free estimate, free quote, free consultation. This is not compelling because that's the standard for the industry when it comes to installations, right? So homeowners are not excited by this. So you want to think about what's actually going to hook them enough to stop scrolling and say, okay, here's my information. Please reach out to me. Financial incentives across the board have always worked well. So rebates, financing. I think financing is something we often think like, everybody offers financing, but it is something that consistently performs well on the ad side of things. We've also had clients that have come up with their own programs to be able to add value or have like a trade-in program. There's all kinds of different options there. But if you can ultimately save people money, make it easy for them to buy, that will perform really, really well on Facebook. You can do educational offers. That tends to work best if you want volume leads, but you will get a lot more tire kickers or just people that are, interested to learn about the thing, but not necessarily ready to buy. So it can be something that can work if you want a lot of low cost leads. If you just need to get people in the door this time of year, absolutely. That would be an option. You just need to be prepared to spend some time qualifying. So making sure your CSR sales team, they're ready to pick up the phone and get through that. So those are some tips on the offer side of things for you to think through. But specifically with Facebook ads, we typically are driving installations and replacements as opposed to service work. Okay, and the second thing that you want to think through there is the creative. So video in particular is a huge driver right now. Our last masterclass was on video specifically, so I definitely encourage you to check that out. But if you can get a real person from your company, if you got your top sales guy, if you can get him in front of the camera, do a simple video about what it is that you guys offer, that tends to do really well because it's a real person. People are on social media to connect with other people, and it really just humanizes the company and makes it much more approachable for that homeowner. And if you don't have someone who is game to be in front of the camera, even having simple little video clips like this one, this has been one of the top performing ads for our clients at the Chill Brothers. It's just somebody driving by in the van. Okay, so video is a huge part of the puzzle. So curious, anybody tuning in here, is there anybody who hasn't really dabbled in Facebook ads yet? Or if you have done some Facebook ads, hasn't really worked for you, let us know. Curious to hear some of your experience there. All right. And then the other approach with video, so obviously some of those examples that we shared there is more specific to lead generation. The other approach, if you really just want to dominate your market locally, build trust, maybe lead flow and everything is good and you're just looking to get your name out there more so. Using video as a way to educate the market can do really, really well. So this is our client at Shock Free Electrical. Shane did a video on how to he's done a series of different videos, everything from like what to look for in electrical safety, how to make sure your plugs are working, all that type of stuff. And when we amplified that great video content with ad spend and getting in front of the right people, he had a bunch of really, really positive comments from people coming and saying, you know, hey, we use these guys when we did our house 7 years ago. They were excellent, you know? It was really a way to just boost their profile in the local market so that when somebody needs electrical services, they're going to think of Shane's company first. So those are some pointers. This is what we go through with our clients for our full HVAC lead driver process, is really about figuring out how to consistently bring leads in, making sure that we're building those relationships and getting people from, hey, I'm interested, to actually becoming a customer. So everything that we've talked about here is really ultimately about getting you to a place where you're showing up when people are looking for you, you're getting more calls, you're using your database, your existing network to be able to maximize your sales now, and then also using Facebook ads as a way to start driving install leads today and setting yourselves up for the summer. So everything that we've talked about here today are things that you can do to make sure your marketing is ready to go. You've got all these channels that are dialed in to start bringing in leads for you now and also for the summer. So I'd love to hear from you guys. I see a few comments in the chat here that I'll address as well, but of the things that we talked about today, which marketing tune-ups are you going to commit to this month? So we talked through Google Business Profile, talked about local service ads, keeping your social media up to date, reaching out to your existing database, Facebook ads. What's something that you can look at now? Because I can guarantee you that if you implement just one of these ideas, you're going to really benefit from that and start to see the leads coming in. Okay, awesome. So I see we've got, Brendan says referrals and LSA. Awesome. Sue says video. Definitely. We will follow up with you on that, Sue. I think that'd be awesome. Brendan says reviews. Amy says LSA review and scheduling 6 weeks out. Awesome. I love that. Okay, amazing. Okay, and I hear, yeah, Amy says Facebook hasn't really worked well for us. I know we've chatted a bit about that, Amy, so we can definitely dive into that a little bit deeper if you like. And David here says, I had a company try 4 months of targeted Facebook ads for me with 0 response. Oh, wow. I'm really sorry to hear that, David. If you'd like a second opinion, no pressure or anything like that, but if you want to dive into that or even just chat about it a bit now, I'd be happy to try to help you out there to see what might have went wrong. So thank you all. I hope this gives you all the ammo that you need to set yourselves up for an amazing summer ahead. But for all of you that attended live, we're also going to send out a little bonus as promised. So you will be getting our Google Business Optimization Guide. So we're going to send that out over email after this. So keep an eye on your inbox for that. That'll just give you something that you can run through with your Google business profiles. And if some of the things that we talked about here today, you see that being helpful for you, but you're really not sure where to start, you can book a call with us. That'll be with me personally, and I can help you implement that in your business. So we've got the link posted there. If you want to book a call with me to be able to implement that, we'd love to hear it. Okay, so definitely want to hear some questions, comments, anything you guys need for the last little minute here that we have left. And yeah, again, keep an eye on your inbox. Really appreciate your time here. And I can't wait to hear what an amazing summer ahead you're going to have. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Any questions? Anybody want to talk through any of
I
those
had a
things?
question. What do we do?
Yeah.
You had mentioned trying to keep the name, address, and phone number the same,
Mm-hmm.
and try not to use the tracking numbers. And for us, we technically have two locations. So
Right.
I think that we run into issues with that. We do have two different Google business profiles, but really everything else is same website, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. No, that is a great point. Um, and I'm just thinking through because yeah, you've got the one website and all your social channels are the same, but it's different locations.
And technically, it's not really a second location. It's just that we wound up doing so much business. It's technically over the state line
Right.
that we had to buy a piece of property there to, have a second location, but it's really not a second location.
Yeah, that's not uncommon, Amy.
Uh-huh.
There are definitely some nuances there, so let me follow up with you. I can definitely send you some resources and just take a look at what you guys have set up there.
Okay.
But yeah, great question. Okay, Brendan says you can classify the second location as a franchise location and link it to the main one. Okay, awesome. Brendan, is that something you've got set up there as well? Okay, awesome. Cool. Okay, great. All right. Any other questions? And again, if you want to reach out privately or anybody needs any help, I very easy to find. And yeah, we will shoot you guys an email as well with that guide and link to book a call.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. So great to have you, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Crystal. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sue.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.